Hey everybody, it's Dr. Cole, and today I want to talk with you about bloating, a common issue that we see in our practice when people first come in our door. I want to remind you though that if you find this information interesting, click on the link above or go to coleclass.com. We'll have a lot more information for you there. But when it comes to bloating, it is a common thing that we see today. It's because of the fact that we have created so much damage to our gut. You know, way back when, over 2,000 years ago, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, believed that all disease begins in the gut. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I do know that so much of what we see today, disease-wise, has some basis in the gut. And I do believe that a lot of conditions are caused by a bad gut. And so it's what we're doing to our gut that's creating these issues, and bloating is certainly a common symptom that we see. And that would be when the person eats and their stomach gets distended and uncomfortable. Sometimes in a lot of gals we see, it almost looks like they're pregnant. Their stomach distends to that degree. Well, it's the damage that we're doing to our guts that is generally the reason why. I break it down into three areas. Number one is that we have so many people with poor digestion. Also, they have an imbalance in what we would call their gut microbiome, this balance between good and bad bacteria, and then just chronic inflammation of the lining of their gut. And that, if we can start back at number one again, that poor digestion, a lot of the times that has to do with the fact that we've damaged our gut just from eating so many processed foods. We've distended our gut and we've damaged the valve at the bottom of our esophagus, and then these people will wind up with heartburn and acid reflux, and then so many of them are put on, or they're taking Tums, or they're put on pharmaceuticals like omeprazole, which just creates more problem because the issue really isn't too much acid. That's what most people believe. The real problem is not enough acid, and especially when you're taking in food, drugs or pharmaceuticals, even over the counter, that will reduce the acid in your gut. So the key is restoring balance when it comes to this acid environment in our gut necessary for digestion. So I have a really simple tip for you when it comes to improving digestion at home. Go get yourself some apple cider vinegar. It needs to be organic, it needs to be raw, it needs to have on the label with the mother. This is a living food. 1 tablespoon in a small glass of water once or twice a day for most of our patients seems to do the trick. And that's going to help aid digestion. It's also going to help balance the pH of your stomach, right? So in that area, your gut. And so that's going to go a long way in improving digestion. The second thing I talked about is an imbalance in the gut bacteria. So much of what we do today, from taking antibiotics over a lifetime, antibacterial soaps that people utilize, and antibiotics in our food too, even things like chlorine, which is made to kill living things, right? Or herbicides and pesticides that we're putting in our body from our food supply is going to really create damage to this natural balance between good and bad bacteria. We wind up with a situation maybe where we have not enough good bacteria, too much bad bacteria. Whenever we eat carbohydrates, the bad bacteria are living off of the carbohydrates. It produces a gas, and it's oftentimes the reason why we see these pretty aggressive cases of distension, where again, some people look like they're actually pregnant. And so what I would recommend with that is we want to start to put more good bacteria into your body. My favorite thing is raw sauerkraut. If you can get an organic raw sauerkraut loaded with probiotics, and then if you can have things like onions and garlic, which are prebiotics to help feed your good bacteria. But raw sauerkraut, onions, and garlic, you can even Google prebiotic foods, but there's a lot of them out there. But those things are going to help to replenish the missing good bacteria and then also feed those good bacteria. And then the third thing that I mentioned is chronic inflammation, right? The things that we're doing, the things we're exposing ourselves to with our gut, we're damaging the lining of our gut. That lining is supposed to act like a barrier. And it's only 1 cell thick, so it's really thin. And when we damage that lining, when we're chronically inflamed from the things we do in our lives, the foods that we eat, the medications we take, stress, you name it, we wind up creating gaps in that lining, what are called tight junctures that are not tight anymore. And we wind up creating tiny little holes which allow undigested food particles, bacteria, viruses, endotoxins out of the gut into the bloodstream. It creates another chronic systemic throughout our body inflammatory response, and that leads to a whole host of other things, including autoimmune issues. But to deal with that, my favorite thing is a supplement. It's called L-Glutamine, Glutamine, L-Glutamine. What you want to buy in powdered form, not pill form. And with that L-Glutamine, what we recommend with our patients is that they take 5 grams of L-Glutamine in a glass of water 3 times a day. That will specifically work on healing the lining of the gut. So guys, if you want to fix poor digestion and imbalance in the gut bacteria, chronic inflammation, use the apple cider vinegar. Fermented vegetables, I like sauerkraut, but any fermented vegetable is going to be good. And then L-Glutamine, the amino acid, which will help to heal the lining of the gut. So again, if you like this, click on the link above, go to colclass.com. Hope this was helpful for you. God bless. Bye.